All right. Welcome to today's HR2go session. And thank you for joining us in our conversation on managing difficult decisions or difficult promotion decisions. I think that's an area where human and HR matter, but one that's often complex and at high stake. So our guest today is Victoria, head of payroll sales at Personio. And as one of the first employees at Personio, Victoria has a lot of experience in navigating the complexities of promotion decisions, really from weighing fairness to considering also team dynamics. So staying in line with our motto, gain insights faster than you can say human resources for nonprofits, we get started right away. And Victoria is here to share her lessons learned and shed light on what's at stake when really choosing are in a difficult decision for choosing one candidate over another. And so we'll discuss key considerations for making these decisions and how to communicate clear and transparent criteria that not only ensures fairness, but also keep your team motivated. So as always, if you have any questions you want to address, please share them with us in the Zoom chat. Or if you have a live questions, please feel free to unmute yourself and we try to answer them. And if we can't finish in this 15 minutes, you can also approach us afterwards. So Victoria, thank you for being here. And to start with, maybe you can tell us a bit about, like, just in 2 sentences, what the promotion cycle at Personio looks like and how often you find yourself in the difficult situation of these promotion decisions.
Yes, thanks for having me. So at Personio today, we have a good cycle. So we have it half yearly. So once a year, we have a bigger conversation. So we're looking at the last year. We're talking about like what went well, what didn't go well, and how can we improve, also an outlook on the career path. But it hasn't always been like that. So as said, when I started, it was also rather like on the go and with less structure. So I know both worlds now.
Perfect. Thank you, and thanks for being here today. So as also said in the beginning, promotion decisions can often feel unclear also to employees, leading to frustration and misunderstandings if the criteria aren't transparent. So what's in your experience is essential to communicate to employees even before you make the promotion decision, so that they really understand the promotion process?
Yeah. So I think it starts with what we call RER. So it's responsibilities and role expectations. Or in other words, once you start like sharing the position online, you have to write a job description. So you have to tell someone what's in scope, what's out of scope. And here it already starts to make sure that you're aligned with the employee on what should they actually do in their job and what is then also needed for the next step. So I think you can also then go along with like a super simple career path and saying like, we might have a junior level, which is an entry level. And we say we make it super easy for someone to join in this role. But then the next one is a mid-level. And the expert would be then, for example, a senior level. So give them an outlook that once they increase their skill set, they can also move forward with another title. Because from my experience, it's not only about people developing more skills, but they also want to show it in their CV. They want to show it outside that, hey, I got promoted to a mid-level or senior. That makes it more valuable to them. Was there a question? I think I saw a hands up. No?
No, I think it's fine. Just also from then, of course, the job description, but if somebody's in the position already a little bit longer, how you ensure that they basically know what you're assessing them on?
Yeah. So I'm coming from a sales world. So I know for me, it's a bit easier to work with numbers to say, okay, this is how many customers we want to win next month, or this is how much you have to go to an event. But I would try to make it as objective and as measurable as possible. So if you have someone who's leading a project, you could give them the project as a goal and say like, okay, you have to organize it, you have to then conduct the event, and then you have to make like a follow-up, sharing the results, for example. So I think there's always something that you can pick where you can try to measure if the job has been done successful or not. And I also see, especially with more junior people and ambitious people, what is good, they sometimes tend to do way more that you don't want them to do. So they are super helpful with colleagues, but it's not in their scope. So just go into like your one-on-one conversations and make clear that this is the priority for this year or for this quarter or for this month. And everything that is not a priority, they can leave for the moment, or they can check in with you if they should spend time on it or not.
Yeah. And what do you do with somebody who's like really ambitious and wants to like develop in the next role, but maybe the organization doesn't have that role at the moment?
Yeah.
How are you in these situations?
Yeah, so it is super important to balance that out. So you have to be respectful with a person because they are ambitious. They want to learn, they want to progress, and this is perfect. This is way better than cheering someone up and say like, okay, you can do a little bit more, you can do a little bit more. So try to navigate without demotivating them, and then start with where they are today and where they can develop. So it could be, I would say, for an organization, there is no harm in having in the end like 10 seniors, but you can't have 10 team leads. And most of the young people, they want to go into a leading position because they think this is how the career works, that you have to lead a team or like a department or whatsoever. But if it's not the company's need, you have to also communicate that. So you can't have like 10 team leads and no one in their team just to make them a team lead. So I've always been very transparent with that and saying like, look, this is like the organization and we can have like a lead for leading a topic, but we can't have so many team leads. But what you can do in order to position yourself is like doing this job like great and look at X, Y, Z. And this could be like supporting each other, taking more ownership for a topic to drive that so that they are set themselves up for success if a role opens that they can then apply for it.
Okay.
I would also make sure that you define like the criteria to apply for such roles then. So no one is frustrated because they think, hey, I did a great job for 3 months, I should apply for the role. But maybe you say, okay, only someone who has been doing this job for at least 12 months, who has shown like through all seasonalities, like summer breaks, Christmas seasons, whatsoever. So there could be different seasons impacting your organization. And someone needs to show that they have been successful in all of the seasons in order to make then the next step. So that they also know, like, I have to perform. It's more than a sprint. It's more like a marathon that I have to go here in order to go for the next step.
Yeah.
So try to be transparent and also give them I always call it like the company glasses, like the company's view on the things. It's not that you're building the company around someone's career path, but the career path needs to fit in the organization and how they want to develop.
Yeah, yeah, I like that. That there are some guidelines you also have to follow to complete your mission then in the end.
Yeah.
And also that you said like the tenure is really important there as well, probably.
And I would also add that there are possibilities to give someone something like a pilot phase. So let's take me an example. I was a mom, or I got a kid like 2 years ago now almost. So I stepped out for a certain time period. So someone could then step in and say like, okay, I'm taking over and I'm trying the position of leading a team, or someone is leaving on short notice. Someone else could step in immediately and try it out. Because I also see that sometimes people want to achieve a certain role, but they don't know what's behind it. And maybe before you do like the all in, you can give them a certain time period and say, okay, let's try it out. Let's try it for the next 3 months. You take that on top, or you make like 50-50 your current role, the new role. And then we see if it's also what you really like. Because I saw many team leads who want to become a team lead who didn't want to become a team lead in the end. So they underestimated what it's meant in this new role.
Yeah, yeah, I like that. Cool, thanks. And we touched it already on the fairness and consistency in promotion decisions. So from my point of view, that always requires a structured approach, and calibration sessions are one of these like structured approaches. So could you explain from your experience what calibration sessions means for you, how they're set up, and how they can maybe help you or take a role in making these effective promotion decisions?
Yeah. I love calibration sessions because they're taking away the bias that you have. So let's say you have several teams and several team leads, and you want to make sure that they all use the same measure. So not one is taking like, let's say the performance way harder than the behavior that someone shows in the day-to-day. So it really helps to make sure that all of the team members have the same chance in being like promoted, developed, and whatsoever. So what I suggest, what I'm doing myself and my team, is to get quarterly together and then measure like who's a top performer, who's a low performer, who's a medium performer, and who can we help all three of them. So it's not only about supporting someone who's low in performance, but someone could be high in performance and low on behavior. Someone could be a diva and not supporting each other, or someone could be struggling a little bit with the current setup. So what we're doing is getting together quarterly and go through all of the team members and make sure that we are measuring in the same way to also then enable them in the or allow them to develop in the same way. And I would also try to make it here as measurable as possible. So you could use like a simple rating of 1, 2, 3. If we're super happy with them, with their behavior or not. It could also be like the performance that is measured in 1, 2, 3 or 1 to 5. So try to just make it as objective as possible.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. I mean, of course, it's an effort to come together on a quarterly basis, but in the end, if there are promotions like once a year, for example, open, you have the data you can base your decision on. So, and make it way easier then, and to communicate it as well. Yeah.
And it's also more fair to the team members if you do it quarterly, because to be honest, if we're doing it once a year, like what do you remember? It's like the last weeks and then the big events. But if you do it quarterly, you zoom in enough and zoom out enough in order to also show like who had someone super spring, then was low on summer, then was high on autumn again. So you can also see a little bit of the balanced view, I would say, and not just the 1 or 2 events that you remember.
Okay, yeah, cool. So let's say we made our decision and we now face the challenge of promoting like one employee over another, and how to approach the conversation with the non-promoted individual. So do you have any tips on framing it around probably future growth or next steps to really ensure that they remain motivated?
Yeah. So let's say we had 6 candidates and 5 I decline and 1 is getting the good news. So I always start with the 5 then, because I know people are talking. So once like the positive is spreading the news that they got the role, the others will be demotivated before joining the call with me. So I start with a 5, I decline. I keep it as short as possible in the talk track, but also in the points why it is. So what I don't want is like a big conversation, because they will be emotional. So for sure they like hope to get the role, and I don't want to open like a big conversation that is not positive in that moment, because they might get emotional, say things, arguments, and it's not a nice one. So rather keep it short, say, we decided to not go with you because of reason 1 and 2. That doesn't mean it's a no forever. It just means like for this role at this point of time, we didn't see you as the best fit. But the good news is it's something that you can work on, which is most often the case. It could be the tenure, it could be skill, it could be behavior. To work in that direction. So I would then leave the people. So for me, it's most often like a 10-minute conversation we're having. I would leave the people to digest the news, and then offer a conversation in the following days to ask more questions, but also to give an outlook on, okay, if this is really what you want, let's take an action plan on how you get there. And that doesn't mean, again, that they are getting a promotion in 6 or 12 months, but it's about like setting them up for success. So once the next role opens, they have like the best chances to get to the role.
Cool. Yeah, perfect. Thank you for sharing. And we're already running out of time. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them now. Or also afterwards, you can approach me. If not, then Victoria, do you have any last tips you want to share?
Yes, so in my position, I'm also leading team leads. So what I always do with my team leads is to let them have the conversation so that they are talking to their team members themselves. And in order to enable my team leads, I usually have like a theory session with them, and then we do some role plays, because it's also can be exciting for someone doing it the first time to have that kind of conversation. So I'm supporting them by either joining the call, or let them shadow the call so that they see me sharing the positive, but also like the negative news. And then we do some role plays in order to prepare the other one for that conversation, because it's really critical for then the team member to leave the conversation with the best feeling possible, even though they have not been good news. But it really helps to prepare the other one to bring the news.
Yeah, I also like the concept of shadowing, that they get first experience and know how the setting is in these kind of meetings, and can learn from you, or even give you feedback then in the end. Yeah.
And maybe last tip is also, if someone is taking the news not well, even like over the next 1 or 2 weeks, try to build like the outlook. So offer your hand more than one time in order to keep the people motivated. You can always build on what they're doing great, and stay, or like remind the people that it's not a personal decision against someone. It's always like a decision that the organization takes for the organization, and it's not because of preferences of some people.
Okay.
I think what you said, I think it's a very valuable point, that you keep the conversations short, but you come at that point where they're looking at you and are obviously begging for more explanation or good reason or something. And then all you can do is to shut up and say, well, this conversation is over for today, but we can continue this tomorrow. But what is like your major or your best tip or your own experience? How do I motivate myself to really stay calm in that point and stay quiet actually at that point and say, okay, there's nothing I can add right now?
Yeah. So what I say is like, I assume you have a lot of questions, you have a lot of thoughts. So let's digest the information for the next 24 hours. And I'm super happy to take time tomorrow, if it's a half an hour, to go through your questions and answer them. But leave it here so that we have like a more calm conversation tomorrow. Sometimes it's also like protecting the employee or the team member for themselves, so that they are not getting emotional or saying something like, yeah, I don't get it, and I think I'm more experienced than the other person. So they're just like hurting themselves sometimes if they're getting too emotional in that conversation. So I would say, like, really trust me, digest the information, let's have a talk tomorrow, and then you can leave your thoughts on a paper, ask your questions. Happy to answer it all. So just give them the outlook. It's not about like pushing them out for a month. It's just like 24 hours. And then what I do is also keep all the conversations directly after each other. So that if they start talking, that we are through the decision quite fast, and not give someone like 24 hours of a headwind before talking to the others.
All right. So thank you so much. And thank you for, especially Victoria, for sharing these insights. If you have any follow-up questions, you have my email address, so please follow up, and I'll share it with Victoria. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye.